Palm Sunday, 1461. In churches across England, families are kneeling in prayer. But on a frozen plateau in North Yorkshire, there is no peace. There is only the screaming wind and the clatter of 60,000 men shivering in their steel. This is Towton. It isn't just a battlefield, it is a meat locker waiting to be filled. The Wars of the Roses have dragged on for years, fueled by bad blood and broken promises. But today is the end of the line. Two kings claim the crown, but only one is leaving this field alive. The conditions are nightmarish. A massive blizzard sweeps in from the south, turning the visibility to zero and freezing the ground into jagged ruts of mud and ice. Soldiers stand shoulder to shoulder, their breath steaming in the gray light, waiting for the signal to kill. The sheer scale of this gathering is hard to comprehend. We are talking about nearly 3% of England's military-aged males packed into a narrow strip of land between the Cockbeck stream and the high ground. There is no room to maneuver here. The commanders have lined up their forces for a head-on collision, effectively turning the battle into a shoving match with sharp edges. The Lancastrians hold the high ground, usually a tactical advantage, but the weather has other ideas. The wind is picking up speed, howling like a banshee, and it's blowing right into their faces. Nature has set the trap, and the Yorkist commanders are about to spring it. The wind decides the battle before the first sword is swung. A freak gust picks up speed, driving heavy snow horizontally into the eyes of the Lancastrian army. They are blinded, freezing, and desperate to break the tension, so their archers make the first move. Thousands of longbowmen step up, plant their feet on the slick ground, and loose a massive volley into the whiteout. But physics is working against them. The headwind acts like a wall, stripping the kinetic energy from their heavy war arrows and smashing them into the turf 40 yards short of the Yorkist line. It's a wasted effort, a carpet of expensive steel planted harmlessly in the mud. Lord Fauconberg, the Yorkist commander, watches the snow swirl and realizes the weather just handed him a weapon. He orders his archers to hold their fire until the enemy is exhausted. Then he gives the signal. His men step forward, use the tailwind to their advantage, and send thousands of shafts riding the gale. These arrows don't just fall, they accelerate. They punch through plate and mail with terrifying velocity, dropping Lancastrian soldiers who never even saw the shots coming. The screams are swallowed by the howling wind, but the gaps in the line are real. Then comes the ultimate insult. As the Yorkist quivers run dry, the archers simply walk forward into the no-man's land. They pull the spent Lancastrian arrows out of the frozen earth, check the flights, and shoot them back at their original owners. It is efficient, brutal, and demoralizing. The Lancastrian commanders realize they are being slaughtered at a distance, so they have no choice but to abandon their defensive position. They roar the order to charge, and the massive formation lurches forward into the snow, trading the nightmare of the arrows for the meat grinder of close combat. The two armies crash together with the sound of a train wreck. This isn't a duel, it's a hydrostatic crush. Thousands of men push from the rear, driving the front ranks into a solid wall of shields and blades, creating pressure so intense that men die of suffocation while still standing on their feet. There is no room to swing a longsword, so the fighting devolves into a dirty scrum of daggers and armored fists, men gouging at eyes and throats in the freezing mud. Modern forensics tell us exactly what happened in this killing zone. The skeletons excavated at Towton Hall don't show clean, honorable wounds. They show frenzied overkill. We see skulls shattered by the heavy beaks of war hammers and distinct square holes punched through foreheads by poleaxe spikes. This was intimate, savage work. A soldier would be knocked to the ground, helpless in his heavy plate, while 3 or 4 enemies surrounded him to batter his helmet until it collapsed. For 10 hours, the line wavers on the bloody slush until the Lancastrians finally break. Panic spreads like a virus. They turn to run, but the geography betrays them. Behind them lies the Cock Beck, a small river swollen by the freezing rain, its banks steep and slick with mud. The first men slide down and try to cross, but the weight of their armor drags them under. They drown in the black water, one after another, until the dead begin to pile up. The panic behind them pushes more men into the ravine until the bodies literally form a bridge. The pursuing Yorkists don't even slow down. They simply stomp across the backs of the drowned to hunt down the survivors on the other side. The sun goes down, but the killing continues into the night. When the noise finally stops, the silence is heavier than the snow. The Cock Beck runs red with blood for 3 miles downstream, a detail that history books often dismiss as exaggeration, but locals in the 15th century refused to drink the water for weeks. The snow has stopped falling, leaving a white blanket over a field that looks like the floor of a slaughterhouse. This is Bloody Meadow, a name it will keep for the next 500 years. The butcher's bill is catastrophic. 28,000 men lie dead in the freezing mud. To put that in perspective, imagine wiping out the entire population of a modern mid-sized town in a single afternoon. In 1461, that is 1% of the entire English population gone. Fathers, sons, and brothers removed from the gene pool in a blink of an eye. It takes decades for the nation to recover its workforce. For centuries, Towton was just a legend, a story of kings and glory. But the discovery of the mass graves changed everything. The bones don't lie. They tell a story not of chivalry, but of industrial-scale violence. We see the chopped forearms of men who raised their hands in surrender, only to be cut down. We see the crushed skulls of men executed while face down in the dirt. Towton wasn't a battle. It was a crime scene, preserved in the ice and mud, reminding us that behind the banners and the crowns, the reality of war is just cold steel and broken bone.